Welcome back to another episode of the Inquisitive Mamba Podcast. This is episode 176. I hope everyone is having a great day, great night wherever you are around the world. A lot to get into on today's show. A very, very unfortunate events happened last night in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Very, very sad to say that there was a shooting there, and it's a terrible, terrible situation that happened there. I feel really bad for the victims. And I feel bad because you never want to see anything like that happen. I didn't want to start the show this way. I was going to record last night for you guys, but I said I'm going to record fresh in the morning. And then, this stuff comes out. So we live in a very, very scary time. It's a very scary time in the world we live in. I don't want to spend too much time on it. It is very sad. We have a lot of other things to get into on the show today, of course, but I did want to take a moment to send my prayers and my thoughts are out to the families and the victims that were involved. Rhode Island holds a very special place in my heart. I grew up there for quite some time when I was younger. We have family there. Pawtucket is a very familiar place that I'm familiar with. I know that area very well. Had family live there. So it's very, very sad. Somebody that, has played hockey his whole life and has been around that area. It is something that, is just super sad. So like I said, my prayers are out for all the families involved. Crazy, crazy world we live in. However, make sure to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. I'm already messing up for you guys because that situation really hit hard for me. However, though, we got to get into the show. So let's get a little more positive. Let's get a little more excited. We got Drake May's offseason with the Patriots and how the Patriots are going to go forward for next year. The Will Campbell stuff from the Super Bowl. We'll talk all about that. Will Campbell is the Patriots tackle going forward. Tyreek Hill's release. Yesterday, the Dolphins and Tyreek Hill parted ways officially. The NBA tanking problem, that's a massive problem. We'll get into that as well. Stefon Diggs, is he going to be on the Patriots this upcoming season in 2026? We shall see about that. We'll talk about that. Briefly touch upon the Olympics with USA advances to the quarterfinals. You have there as well. So, but before we officially start the show, make sure to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. The clips have been doing great on social media, so I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. TikTok engagement is starting to get better. As you guys can see here, I'm rocking the Pat Super Bowl hat. Had to do a little coping since we lost this past the 2 Sundays ago. Coming up now against the Seahawks, it's in the rearview mirror now. We're on to the offseason, but Fanatics was having a sale, so I said, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to buy myself some Pats hats, right? I never got a chance to watch those 2 Super Bowls, so why not rub it in some more for some fans? But everyone's been loving the Boston sports clips that that I posted on social media. However, though, the first thing we're going to get into is Tyreek Hill being released by the Miami Dolphins. Well, if you're an NFL fan, you knew this was coming. This wasn't a surprise. The Dolphins are going into rebuild mode, as they should. But my thoughts about it, where is Tyreek Hill going to land? That's the biggest question, right? Because obviously you saw he's coming off the gruesome knee injury, the injury that he suffered against the Jets earlier this past season that we just had. And now you think to yourself, well, the Dolphins are saving around $22.8 million in cap space. Well, the question remains is where is Tyreek Hill going to land? And that's kind of what I was trying to put together. And I was going by team and the AFC and the NFC and realistically contenders. But Tyreek Hill could also retire. I'll get into the Patriots segment. Should I think the Patriots should sign Tyreek Hill? We'll get into that. I do want to stick here though with Tyreek Hill. It's one of those things that you're like, what team is going to want him, right? Because he's 31 years old. He's coming off a really, really gruesome injury. So that's my biggest question there. And healthy, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL, but he's 31 now. I don't know. I mean, obviously the clear-cut answer, you could say, well, he's going back to the Chiefs because they had the reunion there. Bieniemy's back. Mahomes is going to be coming back from his injury, of course. Kelsey might come back another year. Get all the guys back together. He's comfortable there. It makes sense. He won a Super Bowl there. And then you go, well, the Chargers could make sense because they're also looking for a receiver as well. The Patriots could make sense because they're looking for a receiver. And then other teams go, well, we don't really want that baggage. Maybe the Commanders. Realistically, I think Tyreek Hill most likely re-signs with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think he goes back to the Chiefs. And I know people are going to say, well, why do you think that? Well, because he's been there before. He knows the culture. Andy Reid could easily take him on. I'm pretty sure Rashee Rice is going to be probably suspended from his off the field stuff that has happened this offseason that we're having now trickled back to some stuff that occurred with him in the NFL season, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I could totally see Tyreek Hill going to the Kansas City Chiefs. There's other teams out there. There's other suitors. The Bears as well could make sense, but I think he's going to want to, I think he's just going to want to go back to the Chiefs. I really do. Now, there's also the other case where he could retire, but I don't see that. I think he's too much of a competitor. I think he's got something left in the tank. He is 31. Yes, that's old. Yeah, he's coming off the injury, of course, but there's definitely still stuff left in the tank for Tyreek Hill. So what I was looking at here when I was doing some research about it, like when I was going team by team, Buffalo Bills could make sense because they're looking for a wide receiver 1 for Josh Allen. Dolphins X, of course. Patriots could also make sense as well. The Jets, no. The Ravens could make sense. The Bengals, I don't see that. Texans, no, I don't see that. Colts, no. Jags, maybe, but I don't see that. Broncos, nah, I don't see it. Chiefs, possibility. Raiders, no. Chargers, yes. So realistically, you got the Chargers. For Tyreek Hill's landing spots, you have the Chargers, you have the Chiefs, you have the Bills, you have the Bears, you have the Niners, but I don't think they're going to want to take on that. And Tyreek Hill is also kind of a basket case too. That's another thing. Like the Niners just moved off of, they're just moving off of Ayuk. They want to bring in another guy like a Tyreek Hill. I mean, obviously you saw the problems that he had with Miami. So realistically, there's only a couple teams that I think that could make sense for Tyreek Hill. But we don't even know how he's going to come back from his injury. So that's another thing there as well. It's like you're taking on a risk. And how much money is Tyreek Hill really worth at this point in his career? He's 31 years old. He's coming off that big injury. Yeah, when he's fully healthy, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. But we may not see that version of Tyreek Hill that we saw from the Dolphins in 2023. We may never see that Tyreek Hill that we saw in Kansas City when he won the Super Bowl there, or the year when he had the Dolphins, which I'm pretty sure was the 23 year with 1,700 yards in a season. So he showed flashes this year when he was healthy, but that's a gruesome injury. You never know. So what I did want to talk about, should the Patriots sign Tyreek Hill? I don't want any part of Tyreek Hill as a Patriots fan. We're trying to figure out if we're going to be bringing back Stefon Diggs this upcoming season. He's owed a ton of money if the Patriots pick up the contract, or pick up his option, excuse me. So that's my biggest thing there. And if you sign Tyreek Hill, yes, it puts you in a good spot, but I don't think the Patriots are going to want to involve themselves in a situation like that. He's got off the field issues as well. I think he would really mess up the culture there. I'm not shocked that we signed Stefon Diggs last year because we desperately needed a wide receiver 1, but I don't think we really want to sign a 31-year-old receiver who's just coming off an injury. Now, some people could take the complete opposite approach. This could make total sense for the Patriots. They're missing that wide receiver. They're missing that over-the-top guy. But I would rather rock with the younger guys and see if you can go get somebody, maybe a trade for an A.J. Brown, or see if you can sign an Alec Pierce, or maybe try to get somebody in the draft. Yes, there's other receivers out there. And yes, Tyreek Hill, when he's healthy, he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. I'm not saying he's not. But you already have Stefon Diggs. And the question remains is, you keep Diggs and you bring in Hill? I don't think that. And another thing too, Tyreek Hill doesn't even like Boston sports fans. So I know it doesn't really matter, but I don't see him doing that. I think he hates the Patriots more than anything. I think he would go back to the Chiefs more than anything before he even took a look at the Patriots. So that's my thing there about him. But would he become the wide receiver 1? Absolutely he would. But I don't think the Patriots would do it. I just don't see it. I think there's other priorities that they have to worry about than taking on a 31-year-old wide receiver as in Tyreek Hill. We took on Stefon Diggs last year at the end of it. Now he's at the end of his career as well. So I don't know. It remains to be seen with the whole Tyreek Hill stuff. But if you were to ask me, if you were to blindfold me and say, hey, Joey, where do you think Tyreek Hill is going to? I think he's going back to the Chiefs. So I don't want to spend too much more time on that. But the next segment I did want to talk about was Stefon Diggs with the Patriots and the Patriots cap reality. So when I saw a reporter from NBC Sports Boston, I said, he was like, the Patriots could move on from Diggs this offseason. The Patriots could, I'm like, what? And then I looked into his contract and I'm like, well, he signed a 3-year deal last year in 2025. And we were very excited as Patriots fans to get Stefon Diggs. However, though, he's owed around $26.5 million and represents the largest cap charge on the roster behind one other veteran. So that's my biggest thing. It's like, Stefon Diggs has had a lot of off the field stuff. We knew that when we signed him last year. We knew that we were taking on a situation like this, but we desperately needed a wide receiver one. We didn't think we were going to be in the situation that we were going to be in going all the way to the Super Bowl. And of course, people are, going to be up in flames about the Pats making the Super Bowl this past season. We've been having some fun with that on social media. However, though, it is very interesting to talk about because if the Patriots move on from Stefon Diggs, they only owe him $6 million. So maybe you take the option and you say, hey, you know what, Stefon, you were great for us for the year that you were here, but $26.5 million is a lot of money. There's a lot of other receivers out there that we could pay. We might be able to swing a trade for A.J. Brown for the Philadelphia Eagles. That could happen. There's other receivers out there as well. So, but then they also run the risk of losing a wide receiver one in Stefon Diggs. And is Stefon Diggs going to be more productive than he was last year? Now, of course, last year was his first year with Drake May and the Patriots. He was coming off the ACL injury. We didn't even know if Stefon Diggs was going to return until week 4, week 5 of the season. That wasn't the case. He came back week 1, which was crazy to see, even though, he tore his ACL the previous season in October. I'm pretty sure it was against the Indianapolis Colts. However, though, if I'm the Patriots, I'm not picking up Stefon Diggs' $26.5 million option. There's no way that he deserves that kind of money. I know he's a productive receiver, but I think there's other guys out in the market, and I think there's more money to be spent on the roster than pay him that money. At first, when I saw this, I was like, does this make sense? The Patriots really would move on from Stefon Diggs this early? But we knew this could potentially happen when we signed him last March in 2025. So the Patriots could save around $16.8 million against the cap if they cut him, of course, before June 1st with a manageable dead money hit. So Diggs said he expects to be back with the Patriots. I don't know if I see it at $26.5 million. And maybe, but the problem is you're picking up that part of the contract, and he's going to be 32. There's uncertainty about whether the team will want to carry that cap charge into 2026. Like, are we committed to that when we could spend more money on other areas on the roster and we could go cheaper? Heck, you could probably get 2 receivers for the price of one. Now more than I think about it than anything. Like Stefon Diggs is $26.5 million that he's going to be against the cap. We cut Stefon Diggs. We only owe him $6 million. You can go get potentially 2 other receivers, or you go get a receiver and you get a tight end. Like Isaiah Likely is out there. He'd like to comment that he wants to come back home to Boston. So you have that there as well. So, there's a lot of questions to be raised about the whole Stefon Diggs stuff. He was productive last year. He had 1,000 yards. We didn't, of course, but that's a lot of money to be owed by a player. Next segment, we'll talk about move away from the Patriots briefly here. We'll talk about Travis Hunter's usage in 2026, cornerback, wide receiver, or hybrid. I think we've talked about this on the podcast probably 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 times. Travis Hunter needs to play one position. And now the Jaguars are saying he's going to be basically a full-time corner, and he's going to be taking some sort of snaps at wide receiver and at some point in next season. Just play the guy at one position, man. This is not baseball. This is not Shohei Ohtani. This is the NFL. I strongly believe if Travis Hunter would have played one full position last year in the NFL, we wouldn't be having this conversation, and he probably wouldn't have gotten hurt. Now, of course, the NFL is one of the most physical sports out there aside from hockey and wrestling and boxing, but I'm just saying, like, Tyreek Hill. Travis Hunter needs to play one position. Like, you drafted him. I understand that he was the unicorn in college, but this is the NFL. It is totally different. You either think he's better at wide receiver or you think he's better at corner. And he's good at both, right? But what do you think he's more valuable at, right? Think of it as like in a situation of like, what do we think is going to help the franchise long term? Do we think he's going to be better at corner, or do we think he's going to be better at wide receiver? Do I think going back to the wild card game against the Buffalo Bills last year, the Jaguars could have used Travis Hunter? Absolutely. Do I think they could have used him at wide receiver? Absolutely. Do I think they could have used him at corner? Absolutely. I'm not contradicting myself. I'm just simply saying that you need to pick one or the other for Travis Hunter. I feel like a broken record talking about this. It's like people go, no, they should play him at both because they're lackluster in both of those positions. And they could use him when they're going up against Jamar Chase, and they could use him when they're going up against a weaker corner. It's like, no, you pick one position and that's what you do. I'm sure there's other players in the NFL that could play corner and wide receiver, and they don't. I'm sure there's corners in the NFL that if I was interviewing a cornerback, I was interviewing a wide receiver, I'm sure they could probably play both of those positions. Now, that may be a crazy thing to say, but these guys are world-class athletes. This isn't anything new. Deion Sanders did it for a very short time, but we're comparing Deion to Travis Hunter. Of course, Travis Hunter was coached by him. But the point is like, just pick one position, man. It's like, this isn't going to be every snap like you see from the rarest hybrids. It's package usage. I just think you just pick one position. That's just my thing. 2026, I hope it's his breakout year. I hope we see him ball out at cornerback more than anything, but that's how I'm feeling about that. Going back to the Patriots. Well, man, I have seen it from the top to the bottom, to the right, to the left, to all over on social media. And I knew this was going to happen. I knew we were going to get flack for losing that Super Bowl. I just knew it. There was no other way around it. We didn't win that game. It was going to be all the gates of hell broke open. It's like the gates of hell in zombies and Call of Duty Black Ops. It's like when you put the barriers, you don't put those barriers up or those barriers get broken down. Here comes all the zombies. However, though, I wanted to briefly talk about Will Campbell, our left tackle, who is only 22 years old. Isn't that crazy to say? He was the fourth pick in the 2025 NFL draft from LSU, who only gave up, I think it was a total of 4 sacks his entire time at LSU. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm wrong, you can fact check me on that. However, though, yes, Will Campbell deserves blame. He deserves flack for that Super Bowl loss, but it is not all on him. I think people tend to forget that Will Campbell was injured earlier in the season, in the regular season, when he got hurt against the Cincinnati Bengals, and he had an MCL injury, and he was on IR for 4 games. And then he came back at the end of the season. And then he started the entire postseason. Listen, guys, he's only 22 years old. He's only going to get better. Oh, he's got small arms. It's like, give the kid a break. He's 22 years old. He's a rookie. Like, he's 22 years old starting in a Super Bowl. What do you expect him to be? Anthony Munoz? What do you expect him to be? Jake Long? What do you expect him to be? Teron Armstead? Like these Adrian Whitworth? Like, yeah, okay, he could have played much better, but he's also coming off an injury. Listen, I think he's going to be just fine. And the people out there saying that they should move him to guard, they spent the 4th pick on him. It's been 1 season. People are so quick to judge. It's like we're judging a left tackle like we're judging a quarterback, like how, of course, Jake May's getting all this hate. However, though, I'm simply saying that he is the left tackle for the future for the Patriots. Give him some slack, cut him some slack. Give him a little bit of leeway. He's literally a rookie. I understand he played in the SEC in the best conference in college football. I totally understand that. However, though, he's a rookie, and he was going up against elite defenses the entire postseason. It's like if Will Campbell was going up against lesser defenses, right? The defenses weren't as elite, and he wasn't giving up as many pressures. He didn't give up 14 pressures in the Super Bowl. We wouldn't even be hearing about him. They'd be praising him. But since he was going up against these all elite type defenses, the Seahawks, the Broncos, the Texans, the Chargers, all tall tasks to go up against as a rookie at 22 years old, coming off an MCL injury, you just got to sit to yourself and you go, man, he's going to be just fine. But listen, it's very easy to judge somebody off of very, 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 very minimal snaps, right? Or just it's been the body of work has been very small. It's been 1 season in the NFL, and we're already quick to write off Will Campbell. It blows my mind. Well, I did want to talk about this part of the show with the Patriots and the schedule. I didn't think I was going to be diving back into this from last week. I should have just closed the case, but I just can't stand people on social media, and I'm getting these clips out there for people to see so you can hear more about my opinion, because it's the off season, right? We could talk about whatever. The free agency hasn't started yet. The draft hasn't started, so we're just going back into the spiral notebook of the Patriots schedule. I am so sick and tired of people talking about the Patriots 2025 schedule. If the Patriots 2025 schedule was so easy, why didn't people project them to go to the Super Bowl before the season started? If the Patriots schedule was so easy, why didn't people have them winning 10 games or making the playoffs? Because it wasn't that easy, right? And people tend to forget. Let me put some context out there for you guys. Played the Bills twice. We lost to the Bills once. We beat the Bills once. We played the Bucs in Tampa. We beat the Bucs. Joe Burrow was hurt for the Bengals. If Joe Burrow wasn't hurt for the Bengals, we wouldn't even be talking about that. If Lamar Jackson Lamar Jackson didn't get hurt for the Ravens, we wouldn't even be talking about that. And also another thing too, maybe the Patriots schedule was the way it was because they weren't projected to be in the position that they were in, right? Nobody expected them to win 10 games. I had them go at 8-9, 9-8, maybe fringe 10 wins. I said maybe we do take that next step, but not the playoffs. And listen, you play who is on your schedule. It is the National Football League. When have we ever had this conversation about strength of schedule? Go back to 1999. They were talking about that with Kurt Warner in the St. Louis Rams, or the Rams, for crying out loud. That's how far you're going back about strength of schedule. I am sure I can go back to previous seasons with other teams and they've had their strength of schedule, but it's the Patriots. It's the Patriot hate. It's the Patriot hate in quotations. That's exactly what it is. It has nothing to do with their strength of schedule. It is a very easy thing to hate the Patriots because they have 6 Super Bowls and they have the most Super Bowl losses. But the schedule narrative is the most ridiculous thing I think I've heard in sports in a long time. If they would have had a harder schedule, they would have made it as far. And then fast forward, you get to the playoffs. Oh, they had a cupcake playoff run. It's like you play the teams in front of you. And let me go back to years ago when the New England Patriots and Tom Brady played Blake Bortles and Marcus Mariota in their playoff run. Were people talking about it then? No, because the sports media culture now, it's very easy to hate the Patriots. Listen, it's never going to change. I quite understand. I totally understand. It's never going to change. But the fact that people were 4-13 the year before. That's why they had the schedule that they had. They had the Browns, they had the Titans, they had the Saints. And listen, the Bills, I'm pretty sure, had 12 common opponents the Patriots had. Why aren't you talking about the Bills with their schedule? I'm sure I can go on to the other 31 NFL teams that I can go, probably 4 or 5 games. Their schedule wasn't as hard as it was, but it's easy to nitpick the Patriots because they lost. And if we would have won the Super Bowl, oh my gosh, I would have never heard the end of it from other fans. They had an easy run. I can't believe it. They got lucky. The only reason why they won that game was because it was a 1-game set. If they would have had harder opponents in the earlier in the regular season, let alone the playoffs, they would have never had that opportunity. If Bo Nix didn't get hurt, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like it's all what ifs. It's like ifs. That's all I hear. Kind of reminds me of like Justin Herbert, the if man, right? All right, I'm done talking about that. I did want to move on to the NBA with the NBA All-Star Weekend format, dunk contest, and what's lost. Listen, guys, I love the NBA. I don't know what happened to the NBA product. It is nowhere near as exciting as it used to be. I know a lot of people love the new All-Star format with the USA stripes. Team stripes versus Team USA versus Team World. I think that they were trying to take a page out of the NHL book like last year with the 4 nations, and I was vouching for the NBA to do that. But this format, I know people were excited about this. This didn't excite me at all. I know maybe that's a opposite approach how a lot of people felt, and people felt these games were more competitive. I didn't feel that at all. I really wasn't I didn't really get excited about it. And the dunk contest. What are we doing with the dunk contest? Jackson Hayes, Richardson, and heck, the Heat guy's name, I think it's Johnson, if I'm not mistaken. But like, what are we doing? Like, now, of course, you didn't have Mac McClung in the dunk contest. Like, no one wants to participate in it. Like, I don't know what happened. We went from Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine to these 3 players. Like, why do we have big man like that in the dunk contest? Like, yeah, we had Dwight Howard years ago, but like, you go back from the dunk contest years ago to where it is now, like, what in the world? Like, Gerald Green, Vince Carter, Levine, Gordon, Nate Robinson, like Dwight Howard, the Superman dunk. Like, those are the dunk contests I think of. Like, now, like, I'm not even gonna remember Richardson, who won or Johnson, whatever his name is, won the dunk contest for the Heat. Richardson's on the Magic. Like, I don't know what happened to the NBA All-Star format. Like, it's nowhere near as exciting as it used to be. I don't know, because they just keep repeating the same stuff over and over again. Like, the highlight of the weekend was Damian Lillard winning a 3-point contest, who hasn't even played in the NBA this entire season because he's coming back from an injury and he's on the Blazers. Like, that, like, I don't know what happened. I really don't. And I don't blame players for not wanting to participate in the dunk contest, because I don't blame them, because it's not as exciting as it used to be. It really isn't. I think the NBA should go back to the traditional NBA East versus West format. I think it was more competitive. I think the last good NBA All-Star game I watched was East versus West. I think it was like Kobe, LeBron, or maybe the COVID year one. But the last time they did the East versus West, I don't remember the exact year it was. Yeah, it was Jace Richardson, Kashad Johnson, and Jackson Hayes for the dunk contest. Excuse me, my apologies there. However, though, I don't. It doesn't excite me anymore. It really doesn't. Like, I like the NBA. I love basketball. I played in high school. Now a Celtics fan. People have been giving me heck of that on social media. Got my Celtics jacket behind me, but it used to be way more entertaining. I understand what they were trying to do with the team world, and it maybe would have been more exciting if you had Jokic and you had Luka, paired up there with Wemby, of course. But this format here, like, it's just almost like just feels like an exhibition game. It just feels like an LA Fitness type thing. I don't know, like the NBA, the NFL Pro Bowl is a joke now. It's like, I don't know, when you get to halfway through the season, almost like you're there, you're excited, like, man, I can't wait to watch the dunk contest tonight. I'm geared up for this. I can't wait to watch the 3-point contest. I can't wait to watch the All-Star game with the East versus West, like the competitive nature. And maybe I'm taking the complete opposite approach as a lot of other people, and that's why we have sports opinions, but I just thought it was lame. I really did. I don't know. Like, a lot of people liked it because it was a cool global experiment and the international reach is growing. But that's just my opinion. I really thought that they could have done much better. And, maybe the solution is go back to the East versus West and stop having these drafts, right? These team captains, like, just do East versus West. Like, go back to the rivalry format of which conference is better, East versus West. Right? What's better? So that's really how I feel about it. But anyways, the NBA tanking, that's another topic we have to talk about. It has been on my mind the past week. This is a big topic going on in sports media right now. Adam Silver's considering every remedy. Listen, guys, I don't have the exact solution for this. As like, I really don't. I wish, somebody had that solution for us. But the fact that the Jazz and the Pacers are being fined $500,000 for the Jazz and $100,000 for the Pacers for tanking, it's very obvious. It's embarrassing. It's like the NBA product is nowhere near as good as it used to be. And I know a lot of people only tune in for the playoffs because that's when it gets exciting. That's when it gets more entertainable to watch. But you have college players right now in college that this upcoming draft class could shape the NBA for the next 5, 10, 15 years. The Bansa, Darren Peterson, Boozer, Caleb Wilson. So those names that I just named there, I'm sure I might be missing a few. But the point is, it's like these guys that are coming into the NBA in next season are going to be shaping the NBA for quite some time. You just had Cooper Flag last year out of Duke, and we have tanking. Like, it's embarrassing. I don't know if they need to get rid of the draft lottery. I don't know if they need to find teams more and strip draft picks from them, like the Patriots, how they were stripped. They were fined and they were stripped draft picks from the Deflategate, the Spygate, or teams get caught doing things. But this is like absolutely embarrassing because, like, you have a global product and you have teams literally tanking by not playing their players late in games. They're pulling their players or they're shutting them down. Like, that is a bad look on the league. And I don't know if they need to remove the draft lottery. And I did see a thing that Adam Silver, all options are on the table, that they could potentially get rid of the draft. I think that would be terrible if they did that. And then I also saw that they could potentially reward teams for how well they're playing and in the regular season. But I don't know. I really don't. Like, we're at a loss for words right now. And this has been going on for a while. Like, the Spurs tanked for Wemby. Like, when you hear the word tanking, like you hear fans go, "Oh, we're tanking for that player." It's like, like, ugh, gross that sounds. That's like saying, it's like a feeling of like spoiled milk. It's like, ugh, ew. Or like sardines, ugh, tanking. Like, what happened to the NBA that we love? Like, I don't know, like the competitive nature is just, it's gone. But Silver didn't rule anything out. He mentioned that the NBA's competition committee is re-examining the draft lottery system. The league could even go as revoking draft picks from teams that are purposely tanking. So I don't know. This isn't just a draft problem. This is a fan engagement problem, right? Because you're going to lose fans from going to the games. Like, if you're sitting your players, the Jazz, the Pacers, the Wizards, other teams are sitting their players that are in the draft lottery position, fans aren't going to want to go to that game. Fans go to watch the stars. Like, a lot of people too, this conversation I want to bring up. I'm a fan of that team. Why are you a fan of that team? Oh, because I like that player. Exactly my point. SGA is the heart and soul of the Oklahoma City Thunder. SGA, they sit SGA for rest for a couple days in a row. I guarantee you that fan attendance will not be the same as it was if SGA was playing. So But one thing's clear: tanking is no longer an accepted part of the game without consequences. Yes, if but another thing too, it's like how are you actually knowing that they're tanking? Well, we're just sitting our players, right? And that's the thing too. The evidence is clear, and it sucks to say, and it's horrible to see the product that the NBA is right now. Really, it is. So, what can the league do to fix this? Well, you can have the lottery reform, flatten the odds so the worst teams don't get disproportionately better chances at the top picks. In-season incentives reward teams for competitiveness during the regular season with benefits. I think that's dumb. Transparent tanking penalties, introduce fines or draft pick penalties, prospect pools and draft changes. You know what I think here? This is what I think. How I think you can solve this, and I could be wrong. I could be completely off base, but I think this is a good solution. Since the Utah Jazz and the Indiana Pacers were caught tanking and they were fined $500,000, Jazz were fined $500,000, and the Pacers were fined $100,000. They're both like terrible in the standings. They're both like last. I think that they should lose their draft pick. I think when the draft lottery comes out, say, you know what, the Jazz, you got the 5th pick. No, you lost it. You got caught tanking. Sorry, it's a harsh world. You got caught cheating. That's literally like going to Harvard Law School or going to Harvard Business School or going to Harvard Medical School or one of the top colleges in the country, and you get caught cheating, and you go, well, you know what? You get a slap on the wrist. No, you don't. You get kicked out of school. Sorry, that's not how it works. That's how it should happen. Harsh penalties, because I'll tell you this right now, that happens, these teams won't be tanking anymore. That will change completely. No, there's no slap on the wrist. No, it's not a $500,000 fine. No, you get your draft pick stripped. I can guarantee you they won't be doing that next year. They won't be sitting players because they're looking forward to next year. So sorry, it doesn't work like that. And another thing too, your fans are the only reason why that you're able to put those players on the court and you're able to sell tickets. So those players not playing, fans get upset by that. It's like, I want to watch my favorite player play on a Tuesday night on NBC, now that Peacock NBC, now that there's no more TNT, or I want to watch my favorite player play on ESPN on a Friday night. I don't want to see him sit on the bench because we're tanking. It's an absolute embarrassment. It's a joke. The takeaway is balance, fairness, competitive integrity, and player development, which the smart rule changes. Fans want to see every game matter. Yeah, every game matters in the NFL. I understand it's an 82-game season. I totally understand that. But if you're just sitting a player because of fake rest, that's your problem right there. Well, briefly, we'll move on to the Olympics, men's hockey, USA and Canada, the knockout bracket. Well, it's exciting at this point. I'm super, super excited now. Canada's going to face the winner of Czechia versus Denmark. USA is going to face the winner of Sweden versus Latvia. And Slovakia is going to meet the winner of Germany and France. Finland gets the winner of Switzerland versus Italy. So now we're in the knockout stages. I'm very, very confident that it's probably most likely going to be USA versus Canada. We can talk about that once it gets to that point, but did just want to say that there. And then the last segment of the show is Trinidad Chambliss and the NCAA eligibility battle. I feel like I'm getting closer to the NCAA, even though we're very, very far off for the regulars from college football next season. And then we got NCAA basketball with March Madness, and my Gators are doing very, very well. So excited about that. But Trinidad Chambliss and the NCAA eligibility battle. Well, when I first saw this, I was like, really? The NCAA isn't going to grant him another year to play? He was denied a 6th year of eligibility. And I was like, huh? Like Diego Pavia got granted. He did the exact same thing, went to a Tennessee judge. You have TJ Finley, who is still allowed to play. And I'm sure there's other players that I can go out there that have done this in the past. And you don't want to grant Trinidad Chambliss eligibility? And he had to go to a Mississippi judge for this. Like, come on. Like, I don't know. Like, when I saw that, I was like, really? Like, but my two things are, like, one, I personally thought Trinidad Chambliss should have declared for the draft, because you're losing Lane Kiffin, you're losing Charlie Weiss Jr., your two big horses there. You don't know if you're going to be as good as you were last year. You don't know if your team is going to be in the position that you were. Your draft stock could fall. And the quarterback class for next year is probably even better than what it is for this upcoming draft. So if you're asking me, I personally thought he should have declared for the draft. Your stock, I don't think, is going to get any higher than that. Like, I don't see him being the number 1 overall pick next year. But listen, on the other side of the coin, I get it. The NCAA now, these players are getting a bag. He gets to come back for Ole Miss for another year. He gets to develop. So there's two sides of the coin on that, but the NCAA not granting him eligibility is embarrassing. Like, you're letting other players who have way more that have played longer that are still allowed to play. I understand the whole JUCO thing there violated the antitrust law, but like, come on, like grant the kid, let him play. He's going to get a bag, and he only helps your product even more by letting him play because he brings in viewership, he brings in ratings for the SEC and Ole Miss, and that's really how I feel about it. But guys, on that note, I think it does it for us. I mean, we talked about Stefon Diggs' cap situation with the Patriots, Tyreek Hill, what team he's potentially going to go to. We talked briefly about the Olympics. We talked about the NBA tanking problem. That's a major, major problem in the NBA. The All-Star format now, how I think about that. We talked about the Patriots and the week schedule narrative. Guys, I think we're going to be continuing to talk about the Patriots for the rest of this offseason because more and more stuff's going to be coming out, of course. So I appreciate all the support week in and week out. Make sure to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. We hit another 30-minute episode just like last week. Got the Red Sox spring training and baseball spring training starts this weekend. So excited about that. Started the show, of course, the way we didn't want to start, with the very, very tragic situation that happened in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, a place that I am very familiar with. Prayers go out to the victims and the families involved. You just pray. You just hope this world gets better. You hope the healing is needed in this world. But on that note, guys, that does it for us. Make sure to follow us on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcast. We got a good week with the Olympics here, with all the other sports in the Winter Olympics as well. We're getting closer to NFL free agency. The NBA will be resuming on Thursday. Jason Tatum could be returning in a couple weeks. But on that note, we will see you guys next week. Mamba mentality. See you guys next week.